Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for today's video. That's going to take us around the 14th of July, day 10, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles maybe to around a couple of weeks. And we're going to set this V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. That will take us to the end of July and just about to the beginning of August. So I'll get on with that for you very shortly, just to say that the first video released today was the GavsWeatherVids July month-ahead forecast, and we've also had the week-ahead forecast as well, your regular week-ahead look-ahead, as always on a Saturday. Right then, so I'm going to do another shout out today for our latest channel member. So hello and thank you so much to Chris French for becoming a channel member for GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, Chris, for signing up for GavsWeatherVids channel membership. That's absolutely great. Thank you so much, Chris, for doing that. And thank you to all channel members as well. If you would like to become a channel member for GavsWeatherVids, all you need to do is come to the GavsWeatherVids YouTube homepage, click the join button. It'll take you through to another page where you can then see what benefits you get for becoming a channel member, and you can sign up on that page as well. Thank you so much to all of our channel members, all of our patrons, all of our donors. It's absolutely fantastic what you've done for GavsWeatherVids. So thank you so much to each and every one of you for doing that for GavsWeatherVids. And yeah, we've got loads of channel members as well. It's been a huge success since we started this a couple of months ago. So a big thank you to all of our channel members. If you're not subscribed to the channel, then please click the subscribe button and enable all notifications, and then you will be notified when we are live streaming and releasing content and so on. Thank you so much to everybody for subscribing and getting us to 7k subs a couple of days ago. Right, let's get on video then. I'm going to start off centering temperature. So the CT is currently looking like this, provisional from Hadley to yesterday, the 3rd of July. We're standing at 15.5. That's an anomaly of just 0.2 degrees above average. So we're very close to average now after a very warm first day. The temperature has come down quite a lot, and we're very, very close now to the long-term average for the early part of July. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF on the top, and the GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. So 500 millibars is an area in absolute high pressure, low pressure. I've been moved around by the jet stream running above. Red and orange extrapolates high pressure blue to low pressure, so we can see a bit of a 7 to 10 day time frame, which takes us more or less to the middle of July. We've got an area of above average heights, high pressure, with the ECM away to our northwest. Below average heights to south of Greenland, flow jet doing something a little bit like that. So it remains a little bit on the changeable side, really, with high pressure out to the northwest and some influence from the jet stream as well. There's a dip in the jet just here, more towards the east of us, but it is still quite showery, and it's probably a little bit on the cool side. The GFS is very similar, actually. So GFS has above average heights again out to the northwest, with quite a deep trough of low pressure in across Scandinavia. We're trying to go a bit more settled, but essentially we've still got influences from the flow and from the jet there, which will be bringing showers or longer spells of rain probably. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks for London at Old Wetter Central. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off warmer than average at the moment. It's quite a humid air mass that we're in right now. We're going to see temperature cooling down over the next few days. Early next week we'll go cooler with winds turning into the northwest. Then we go a little bit above average again around the middle part of the week before temperatures again slide away. As we move into the second half of July, and that's this period just here, the upper air temperatures are lifting up, so it's beginning to get a little bit warmer perhaps. There are one or two hot outliers appearing. They are outliers at the moment, but maybe a bit of a warming trend around and just after the middle of July. But before that, probably averaging out a little bit on the cooler and average side. Precipitation wise, there's quite a bit of dry weather coming up over the next few days. Will be some quite heavy showers and maybe some longer spells of rain though any time between around the 9th and the 11th of June. Then it goes drier after that, perhaps a little bit wetter into the second half of the month. For London, that's not particularly unsettled, but there is this unsettled spell just here around the 9th through to the 11th of July. Temperature anomalies from the 4th to the 12th of July are going to be below average. It's a cooler than average week coming up through most parts of the UK and much of Northern Europe as well. Precipitation anomalies showing a north-south split. So Scotland and Northern England above average rainfall. Rest of England and Wales and some parts of the Republic of Ireland coming out drier than average. This is the latest from the 3D image from earthnullschool.net, and it's showing us that winds are in from the west today. The main driver of the weather today is the area of low pressure that we've got sitting to the south of Greenland, Iceland, just there, quite a deep area of low pressure, unseasonably deep really for this time of the year, and a little secondary low just to north of Scotland, just there. We're bringing quite a strong westerly flow, quite a strong jet stream actually, for the time of year is coming across the Atlantic. The air does originate from like the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so the air is originating from around here, and that explains why we're increasing the warmth and the humidity, especially so down in the south today. We will freshen things up though by the early part of next week. But yeah, westerly is in control, Atlantic-driven weather definitely in control there. This is how the UK Met Office model is looking for Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we've got a little ridge of high pressure building in from the southwest. Will be slightly quiet today, perhaps on Tuesday. But then on Wednesday through to Thursday, a trough of low pressure is coming in off the Atlantic, keeping showery conditions going. Driest weather and warmest weather through the middle of next week will be in the south, but many central and northern areas can expect further showers, if not some longer spells of rain. And quite unsettled for all of us by 144 hours as far as we go for UK Met. It's to Friday, the 10th of July, then looking quite unsettled with low pressure centred over the top of the country. The GFS 6 o'clock run has this little ridge of high pressure extending up from the southwest on Tuesday. Should be, particularly for the south, a little bit drier and warmer on Tuesday, but then low pressure rattles in from the north across the northern half of the country anyway as we get through into Wednesday. Thursday will bring further showers, if not longer spells of rain across parts of the country, and that gets out of the way, leaves us in a showery northwesterly for Friday before high pressure then begins to build next weekend. This is Sunday the 12th of July. Under a little ridge of high pressure, should be quite a bit of dry weather coming through there, and temperatures will be probably lifting up by day in the sunshine, probably pleasantly warm, but by night could be a little bit on the cool side. Into the following week, so to day 10, this is Tuesday the 14th of July, day 10 of course, the ridges begin to weaken then, low pressure start to edge back in from off the Atlantic, and look what this latest GFS run does. It's the 6Z actually brings deep low pressure in as we go through the middle and second half of the month. So any ideas of a sustained build of pressure through the middle and second half of the month, as we've seen on earlier GFS runs, has been cancelled by this 6Z run, and it looks very unsettled here with further low pressure just driving in from off the Atlantic into the second half of the month. The GEM looks like that. So again on Tuesday, a little bit of a ridge from the southwest, just quietening things down a little bit for southern parts of the country. Midweek brings low pressure into the north, in particular some showers and longer spells of rain. And then into next weekend, we have this ridge moving in from the southwest. That's bringing drier conditions and slightly warmer weather as well as we move into the weekend of the 11th and the 12th of July, perhaps. Up to day 10, the GM looks quite good for England and Wales. Quite a nice ridge there, extending through England and Wales from the Azores going up to Scandinavia. Still low pressure road to the north, bring more showery, cool conditions to Scotland. But for England and Wales, that does turn quite warm actually with the GM today, around days 8, 9 and 10. The GFS, of course, looks very different to that. The ECMWF looking like this. Again, the ridge is building up from the southwest on Tuesday. That brings further dry conditions to the south, but for the north it's unsettled with low pressure continuing to move in from off the Atlantic. All areas looking unsettled with the ECM towards the back end of next week. This is Friday 10th with low pressure bringing further showers, if not some longer spells of rain. They clear away to the east on Saturday, and we're left in this cool and showery northwesterly wind. And then as we go through in towards day 10, so this is day 9, Monday 13th of July, and then day 10, Tuesday 14th of July. Again, we've got a little bit of an extension from the Azores high, probably brings something a little bit drier and maybe a little bit warmer around days 8, 9 and 10. So the GFS, with its very unsettled scenario around day 10, looks a little bit isolated. Actually, most of the model output still seems to be going to something a little bit drier and warmer for this middle part of July. This is the rainfall forecast based on that ECM run from Tameteo.com. So showery rain in the north and west in particular today. Wet tonight and windy too up in the north tomorrow. It's a case of a lot of showers in the north, mainly dry in the south. Temperatures beginning to edge down after what is a humid day today. Into next week, further showery bursts of rain coming in off the Atlantic, particularly affecting central and northern parts of the country. The far south probably just about holds on to dry weather. Looks like a more sustained spell of wet weather around the 9th of July through many parts of England and Wales. And then we get rid of all the areas of low pressure as we run up towards day 10. It begins to turn drier and probably a little bit warmer as well. By day 10, we've got some showery bursts into the west, but most places by day 10, Thursday, 14th of July, or the 14th of July, I'm not sure if it's Thursday or not, I think it's a Tuesday actually, 14th of July, mainly dry there. This is the option that's on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which gets us to the 14th of July via the Icelandic Met Office. 51 out of 51 members of the ECM ensembles have above average heights to our west and bringing in the wind from a northwesterly direction. So it won't be overly unsettled. The Atlantic is blocked off. There should be quite a bit of dry weather with that. But temperature's not particularly exciting because we are remaining there on the cool side of the ridge. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This one gets us to the 19th of July. So we have 13 members of the ECM ensembles by then, with seemingly a trough of low pressure over top of the country, a mid-Atlantic ridge. Flow and the jets probably doing something a bit like that. So that could be rather cool and showery. 13 have the ridge extending in from the Atlantic into the UK and Western Europe. That should bring quite a bit of dry weather with it and will be a bit warmer too. 13 have the high pressure centred out to our west, a trough over Scandinavia, so we're drier with that, but perhaps a bit on the cool side. And then 12 have high pressure out to the northwest, and we'll be bringing in like a northeasterly wind probably. We could have weaker pressure through here, maybe bringing some rain into more southern parts of the country. Overall, it still looks a little bit mixed. This is definitely the most settled and driest option just here in this middle top box just there. That's the driest, most settled option. But otherwise, most of these options are looking a little bit mixed. Not a deluge again, so it's not a 2007 or a 2012 pattern. But it does look a little bit on the cool and showery side there with the ECM ensemble options, most of them anyway, into the second half of the month. Finally, the CFS V2, so these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period takes us from the 4th to the 10th of July. The coming week has low pressure to the north and high pressure is to our south, and that leaves us bringing in a westerly flow. So the most unsettled conditions in the north, the driest conditions in the south, and all areas would have rather cool temperatures. Now look at this, week 2 is the 11th to the 17th of July, and the CFS still wants to build up this ridge of high pressure, and we're still seeing very little sign of it within the shorter range model output really. But the CFS is still set on this idea of mid-July building up a big ridge of high pressure, potentially turning us much drier and also a lot warmer under that ridge of high pressure as well. I suppose for GEM and maybe to some degree the ECM are going closer to that option, but I don't think either of them really get that far with the build of pressure in week 2. Week 3 is also dominated by high pressure for CFS. This is the 18th to the 24th of July. Again, high pressure centred more or less over the top of the country. Lots of dry and warm weather with that one. And then week 4 is the 25th of July to the 31st of August, the last day of the month. High pressure still in control, really, just slipping southwards a little bit. Trough of low pressure coming in over Scandinavia could just suggest perhaps a slight breakdown taking place there to the anticyclonic weather, maybe turning cooler, a little bit more showery. But to be honest, the CFS is still quite anticyclonic. From week 2 onwards, still set on quite a bit of high pressure. We see very little sign of it still within the shorter range model output, and particularly that GFS run that's just come through the 6Z does look particularly unsettled and quite cool into the second half of July too. So still a discrepancy between the shorter range and the longer range. We should wait and see how it all plays out. That's it for your videos for today. Channel members are going to have a live stream at 5 o'clock, so if you're a channel member of GavsWeatherVids, don't forget about live stream at 5. Tomorrow we're going to start with some autumn analogues. We'll be looking at the CT for that one, June CT. So more about that first video up tomorrow. We've also got GavsWeatherVids Study Roundup, and we shall be live streaming from 6 o'clock in the evening tomorrow. And with that, we're going to have a look at can sips of winter of 2020-21, as well as everything else that we include in our live streams. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.